This is Graham Wilkinson here from the Medicines Discovery Catapult. I head up our Virtual R&D capability. First of all, I'd like to thank you all very much for registering and joining in today's webinar. I'm joined by my colleague Sarah Brockbank, and between the two of us we'll be sharing the duties today on presenting today's webinar. Just one thing to mention before I go through the agenda. If you have any questions, we'd be grateful if you could type them into the questions box, and we'll try and collate those. And if we have time at the end of the call, we'll do our best to try and address anything which seems to have a thematic element to it. And if not, we will do our best to get back to everybody following the meeting. Okay, so in today's talk, we're going to give you, first of all, a brief introduction to the Medicines Discovery Catapult, where I will quickly run through our key capabilities and themes. Just for those of you who have not interacted with us before or perhaps aren't familiar with who we are and our remit. And then we're going to spend the rest of today's webinar focusing on our virtual R&D capability, the mode of operation, how we operate, the types of things we're trying to achieve there by working with you in the life science community. And then toward the end, we will round up with how we can work together and, if at all possible, address any questions you may have, and we'll be providing you with our contact details. So first of all, what is the Medicines Discovery Catapult? Well, we're part of the UK Catapult network, first of all. We're a national facility which has been established to help connect the UK community involved in innovative drug discovery. We're there to support the whole of the sector, although I think it's fair to say we have a focus on organisations which form part of the vast SME community in the UK. The UK's Catapult network is there to help deliver the UK's industrial strategy, and all of the Catapults have funding from Innovate UK as part of UK R&I, and we ultimately report into the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. So our remit is to ultimately help the UK drug discovery community in creating new jobs, new companies and new products and services. In terms of the Medicines Discovery Catapult, we have 5 unique capabilities which are underpinned by our internal operations. Those capabilities are discovery, science and technology, and I will take a few minutes to give you a little bit more information on that capability. We have informatics, samples and data, virtual R&D, which is of course the main focus of today's webinar, and discovery syndicates. So if I just quickly talk about informatics, samples and data and syndicates, then move on to discovery, science and technology before virtual R&D. In informatics, we focus on the use of advanced technologies such as AI and machine learning, and applying those to a variety of different drug discovery programs. In samples and data, this theme is there to help the UK community access and get hold of scarce biobank samples, and to connect the UK biobanks together and make those samples much more discoverable and accessible. And in our discovery focused syndicates, we're there working with the charity sector to help charities translate some of the high quality preclinical research that they fund into towards patient discovery. So we do that. We're doing that with a number of charities, and each of these themes can be accessed independently from either contacting myself or others within the Catapult. So just giving you a little bit more detail on discovery, science and technology. This theme is one of our 2 internal capabilities, both this and informatics, where we have significant internal capabilities, and has 4 focus areas. The main thrust of discovery, science and technology is to establish patient relevant testing models and new technologies which we will bring to the advancement of drug discovery. And that can be both applied to companies who are developing therapeutic modalities, or to those who are in the services and supply networks. And we're focusing on 4 areas which are underpinned by innovations in technology. Those 4 areas are complex cell models, target engagement and validation, particularly in the context of whole cells, precision biomarkers for precision medicine, and drug delivery and preclinical imaging. And I'll give you a little bit more detail about those in a slide or two's time. So how can discovery science and technology work with the sector? We see our unique biology models and advanced technologies being applied in 3 main areas to assist and help develop growing SMEs. So on the left-hand side, we can work with technology companies who may be requiring real-world evaluation and application of their technologies to cutting-edge science. There we can work with such companies utilizing our unique biology models or those of others of our collaborators. We can also work with companies who are developing novel therapeutic modalities, so drug discovery companies of all shapes and size. It's important to note that we are largely disease agnostic in this space. And there we can bring together both our biology models and the technologies that we're applying to the characterization of lead molecules, translatable models using those advanced cutting-edge technologies. And finally, companies who are developing biological propositions, for example, stem cell modalities, where we can utilize our advanced technologies to provide real-world testing of those models with known drug molecules and that suite of advanced technologies. All of these capabilities are underpinned by the considerable drug discovery expertise from within the Catapult and from within the networks that we're able to access. And we can manage many of these projects through a number of mechanisms, but primarily here we're focusing on collaborative relationships. Just to give you a little bit more detail on the offering from Discovery Science and Technology, in the complex cell models, we're taking an initial focus in neuroinflammation and fibrosis and primary and iPS-derived cells, where we're developing 3D co-culture and organ-on-a-chip capabilities. And we're working with a number of partners in these areas. In terms of target engagement and validation, we're particularly interested in looking at compound target engagement studies in the context of the whole cell to apply those in target validation and target engagement to understand whether our molecules are getting to sites of action and are engaging with the target at the right time. And we are building capabilities in advanced microscopy and mass spectroscopy. In terms of biomarkers, the intention here is, in the work that we're currently doing, is around ensuring translatability of all the biomarkers that we develop. And we're employing these on both cell models, tissues, and clinical samples, with the aim being that they're all human-derived models. Here we're employing technologies such as nanostring to look at multiple omics outputs, as well as mass spectroscopy. And finally, in the biomarkers area, we are applying where we're looking at novel drug delivery capabilities. We're applying preclinical imaging such as PET-CT, as well as in vivo imaging capabilities such as imaging mass spec and microscopy. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an understanding of what we've got to offer in Discovery Science and Technology. And of course, we can put you in contact with scientists in that area, as well as the other capabilities in the Catapult. But now I'd like to spend the majority of the rest of the talk focusing on the virtual R&D theme, which Sarah and I are both engaged in. So the idea of virtual R&D is that we are developing a platform to enable UK drug discovery entrepreneurs and allied service industries in the life science sector to help connect themselves to each other, to bring together expert advice, to help companies access the drug discovery capabilities through the CRO networks or those which might be available through academic institutes, and also if it's required to work with those organizations to help manage programs or drug discovery projects through the drug discovery value chain through our internal capabilities and leveraging the expertise externally. As we all know, having been involved in drug discovery for many years, it doesn't need to be said, but we all know drug discovery is a very complex, costly, and resource-intensive enterprise. And the diagram on the left here just goes to show some of the main elements that we believe are important for delivering a quality IND-enabled candidate. Right the way from the left-hand side, from the genesis of an idea, through target identification and validation and the generation of assays, the test principles, etc., all the way through to identification of molecules, the testing of those molecules in disease-specific or disease-agnostic assays, to the delivery of that candidate, which can be nominated into the clinic. And obviously, this is quite a simplification of those processes and doesn't then show any of the ongoing activities which are required to get the molecule into the clinic and onward into clinical testing and phase 2. I think, again, it goes without saying, but it's worth pointing out that all successful projects probably require 3 things: knowledge in decision-making and the advice in drug discovery, and disease expertise. The expertise that can be brought to bear in the wet sciences to advance the project through the CROs and specialist academic institutes, and then delivery of those through experienced drug discovery project management and due diligence. As I mentioned, those 3 things are where we are focusing our attention and working with the community to bring those to bear for customers who require those activities. And we're working intensively with providers of those various services. So how can we help in the Catapult? Well, we bring those 3 elements together as outlined here on the left-hand side. By leveraging what's going on in the external community, in the service provision, and bringing together drug discovery and disease expertise, we can work to develop virtual projects and potentially manage those, but also provide routes for people who require access to those service providers or those expertise sources independently. The way we operate is very simple and very straightforward. We would, through our business development group or direct to ourselves, have established relationships with customers seeking to establish what we can do, go through some structured conversations with them to establish need and determine that need, and deliver outputs which can be then iterated upon as we go through the process. So it's quite a simple process underpinned by the elements that we're leveraging from the external community, our internal expertise, as well as the internal capabilities in discovery sciences and informatics that I've mentioned. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Sarah, who's going to take you through the kinds of process and operations that we're currently running, and give some examples of where we are with respect to interacting with companies along the drug discovery value chain. Sarah.
Okay, hi. In the next few slides, I'm just going to run you through how we can help you and what we offer. In Virtual R&D, our offering is in 3 phases, and you can hop on and off this as you see fit. We start off with an outline, and in this phase, we have a look at your project, we have a look at your data, we do a bit of a gap analysis, and provide a recommendation. Then move on into a detailed project plan, and this is very much who does it, what do they do, how long does it take, and what does it cost. And then if you then want to proceed again into execute, we can provide virtual project management to deliver the project. So this is how it works. If you've got a project, then we'd very much like to meet with you to sit around a table. Let's have a look at this project. What is the opportunity? What's the status of the project? What are your next steps, and what do you think the gaps are? And we can then go away with that. And if it's something that VR&D think that they can help you with, we will then have a really good look at the data package and provide the expertise that's needed to fill those gaps. And if we have the expertise within the Catapult, then we will do that. But if we don't have the expertise, then we will go out and pull it in. And it could be that your project's got a fantastic chemistry package and you just need some help with your biology. Or it could be that you've, and this is quite often the case, actually, I've had a few of these, where you've done some target validation with a peptide starting point and you're looking to do a small molecule program, and therefore the expertise you're looking for is some chemistry and some assay generation from us. Have you had a discussion yet with clinicians? Do you know where your, the best disease indication for your opportunity? Do you know if it's even feasible to run a clinical trial? Is your project at the point that it needs safety? Indeed, have there been any recent clinical trials that have failed due to mechanistic safety? And if your target is working in a similar mechanism, it may be prudent to do some safety early in the project to de-risk it. And do you have robust IP? Does it have sufficient term? Have you got a patent strategy? So those are the sorts of things that we can look at and advise, depending on the gaps in your project. And we can pull all that together and provide a recommendation as a written report. And you can go away with that recommendation, do with it what you will. You can use it as a basis for a grant application. And in fact, there's a few people that we're working with at the minute that are doing just that. Or indeed, we could work with you to put together the next step, which is the project plan. And here, again, working with the same experts, perhaps that helped us write the recommendation, we will now put together what is the project plan. So what exact studies are we going to run? What experiments, what work needs to be done, in which labs, with which CROs, and how long will that take and what will it cost? And once we've drawn up that sort of detailed project plan, of course, it would be something that you could work with and deliver that project on your own and execute that with the people that we've identified, with the labs that we've found for you to deliver it. Or it could be that you want to stay in a relationship with us and we would provide the project management and manage that virtual project team. So to implement this plan, we've put together a functional network of CROs. At the moment, we've got signed up, or at least reviewing agreements to be signed up, about 30 CROs on our books. And these are focused into the preclinical drug discovery phase. But with a view to what's required to get a compound or indeed any therapeutic into the clinical development phase, we have sought access to clinical expertise so that we can provide that line of sight to the clinic. The CROs that we are gathering together would fall into various categories. So we have down on the bottom right, well, in fact, on the right hand side of the schematic, really, the disease agnostic. So those CROs that offer ADME, PK, safety, and the chemistry. And there are multiple CROs operating in this space. We would provide the guidance to direct you to the CRO or the expert lab that provides the service you need for your project. Towards this end, we've organised sessions with Crescent Discovery Services, and they can have a look at your project in free half-day sessions. If you think you have a project that would benefit from computational chemistry, then perhaps an afternoon sitting with one of the experts at Crescent to see whether that indeed is the best thing for your project and what opportunities or what options have you got. We also are speaking with multiple CROs that offer end-to-end services, the integrated drug discovery. And for some projects, this is the most seamless way of accessing multiple services and through various, through several stages of the drug discovery process. And with all of the expertise that's in these integrated drug discovery CROs, it's fair to say, what does virtual R&D offer over and above that? And I think we would like to say that it's the bespoke nature of our CRO network, the specialist and small CROs that we've got on the books. For instance, the disease-specific CROs that are very diverse, and those with specific specialisms. One CRO that we're working with in this particular, as an example here, would be Reprocel. They work with fresh human tissue. The models that they work with for ADME, for safety, for efficacy, are in human, either healthy or diseased tissue where that is available. Where it isn't available, they can develop 3D cellular models and a bespoke service to meet the needs of your project. And then there's the niche CROs. Those are the ones that, whether they're working in a rare disease or in a specialist technology. And an example here would be Physiomics that we're working with, that have an in silico tumour model, the virtual tumour model, that can predict tumour growth in response to drug or combinations of drugs. And where there isn't a commercial offering, our science and technology labs are endeavouring to fill that gap, as Greg has just outlined. So your projects can start at the beginning of this pipeline and move through to the clinical entry, or indeed you can hop on at one step and we'll take you to the next step. So those are the wet labs. So Graham, for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to also build on what Sarah's mentioned in terms of some of the specific companies we're partnering with. And with respect to access to expertise, I mentioned earlier on that we have an expert network. The idea of that in its own right is to allow drug discovery entrepreneurs to access expertise in drug discovery and disease area specific knowledge, where perhaps your own network doesn't reach as far as it might. So, for example, it's geographically unconstrained, and we're hoping then to be able to link people in any part of the UK with the right knowledge and expertise. But also we recognise that there may be expertise out with that in our own network, or potentially even outside of the UK. And to supplement our own networks and to broaden that scope, we've been developing a relationship with a Cambridge-based artificial intelligence-powered organisation called Techspert.io, who are a relatively small company but building in this space. And we've partnered with them to help us identify and supplement our expert network. So currently we have a relationship with Techspert.io, which allows us to utilise their infrastructure. If you bring a question to Medicines Discovery Catapult, we will work with Techspert.io to help you find the right partners and to access that capability for you to determine your needs and what that might mean for your drug discovery project. So if you have any specific interests in accessing that, we would encourage you, of course, to contact either ourselves or Techspert.io directly. But these and the examples Sarah gave are just some of those that we are currently building and developing. And we are in the process of bringing more of these types of opportunities to bear now. So finally, in terms of who we can help, we, as I've mentioned, have the three areas that are our focus, which is access to drug discovery and disease area expertise, the project management and associated drug discovery expertise to run a project, and the relationships with those CROs and specialist academic service providers. By bringing these together independently or as a whole, we can help a variety of different needers, such as university tech transfer offices or venture capital groups who may want to assess their portfolios, startups and spin-outs who may want the kinds of advice and knowledge that has been outlined by Sarah, and of course drug discovery SMEs and CROs who may want to develop their projects, move them towards investment decisions, or develop new products and services. So by that combination of the expertise which the Catapult brings in drug discovery, with our internal capabilities, access to the external capabilities which are in the UK, we can hope to provide real-world evaluation and due diligence, the execution of project plans, the development of new business opportunities, and on top of that, opportunities for collaboration and collaborative R&D through interaction with our internal capabilities. So we're very close to the end now, and I'm just going to hand back over to Sarah, who's going to take you through what we think are some of the advantages of this model, and then round out with how we can work going forward. So Sarah?
So let's have a think about what are the advantages of working with you. If you're one of the innovators with a drug discovery project, then accessing CROs and expert labs through our established relationships, we can identify specialist and niche provision through our in-house informatics database. We can collaborate with you and develop innovation by working with our science and technology lab internally, and we can draw all of these strands together with our project management of the multiple service providers. And if indeed you are one of the service providers, one of the expert labs or CROs, perhaps you would like to benefit from the directed publicity and communications from our dedicated comms team. And I think particularly that's a benefit to the small CROs perhaps. It can help you to access new markets, remembering that we start our process in virtual R&D by looking at people's projects and identifying the gaps and advising the best way to fill those gaps. So perhaps we may be bringing people to your door that would never have come because they hadn't actually identified those gaps themselves. We can help you broaden the depth and breadth of the offerings that you might have through collaborations with our internal expertise, but also with examples where we've worked with a CRO and an academic lab, and bringing those two together as an offering for our customers meant that they had a specific technology to offer that neither lab alone could do. And again, for the CROs that are listening in today, and also for the people that have a drug discovery project, if you have a drug discovery project but you don't have necessarily the drug discovery experience, then we can make your project more commercially viable for the CROs by providing the guidance and reducing the project management burden for the CRO. And this is how you access the services. We can do a fee for service, and if you've got money in the bank, then this is going to be the fastest route to delivery. If you need to raise funds, then we can do joint grant applications with you in a collaborative R&D, and there may be opportunities for a risk share collaboration where we will invest for a share in the value of the outcome. And if none of those models are going to work for you, then we will do our very best to signpost you and connect you with an organisation or a person that can help. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us through our website, which is here on this slide, or directly to Graham and myself, and our email addresses are there, or to Alexander, who's our business development chap.
Okay, just to finish off today, I think it's worth, well, first of all, thanking you very much for your attention. We know how difficult sometimes it is to carve out a few minutes in your day. We will be sending a copy of the slides with all of our contact details and a link to the audio after this presentation, probably within the next 24 hours, to everyone who's registered. And we would encourage you, if you have any questions, to contact us, and we will do our very best to answer that question and to hopefully do some meaningful work with you in the future. So from Sarah and myself, thank you all very much. Very pleased to have been able to have this opportunity to present to you, and look forward to hopefully interacting with you in the future.
Okay, bye.